Yes, my dear students, as I have already mentioned that we will discuss the important causes of the decline of the Mughal Empire. Causes of the decline. There were many causes for the decline of the Mughal Empire. Of course, here the main root cause, main first and foremost important cause as well as was root cause was ineffective governance and the absence of strong central authority. Very important question. You can frame here the question. What was the root cause for the decline of the Mughal Empire? The root cause was ineffective governance. Ineffective after Aurangzeb, his successors, amongst his successors, the governance was not effective. They were not governing in an effective way. Effective governance and the absence of strong central authority. At the central, there was absence. There was no strong or powerful ruler after Aurangzeb. No powerful Mughal ruler was there in the central, so that this reason led to the decline of the Mughal Empire as the root cause. Very important cause, root cause. Next, obviously, which slowly rendered all other aspects weak. So, since there was ineffective governance and absence of strong central authority, it led to the other causes which made it as to decline. So, what were the other causes? Let us discuss. Wars of succession. The Mughals did not have a law of primogeniture, that is a law whereby the firstborn son would naturally inherit the throne. Here students, I would like to tell you that what is this law of primogeniture? It is a kind of law where the firstborn son, if for example, if the king had 3 or 4 sons, according to this law of primogeniture, the firstborn son would naturally inherit the throne. If this kind of law would have been there, there was no question of wars amongst the rulers, especially in case of Mughals. Unfortunately, the Mughals did not have this type of law, that is a law of primogeniture. That is, the firstborn son only would have naturally inherited the throne. So what had happened here? For example, if you take even Aurangzeb, I had explained in 7th standard that Shah Jahan had 4 sons, Aurangzeb had killed his 3 sons to capture the throne. So, his brothers capture the throne. So in the same way, next to Aurangzeb, the same story repeated. These 3 sons of Aurangzeb also had war amongst them to capture the throne because of this absence of law of primogeniture. Right? So hence every time a king died, there was a war of succession among all the contenders of the throne. After Aurangzeb's death, the last of the great Mughals, there followed a war of succession among his 3 sons in 1707. Bahadur Shah, then almost old, he became almost old. Here we could see logically Aurangzeb itself, he had ruled around 50 years. But to capture the throne, even Shah Jahan ruled many years. So, to capture the throne, he had fought with his elder brothers and he got the throne. So by the time he captured the throne, Aurangzeb itself was old and he ruled 50 years, and his son also, Bahadur Shah, became almost old, eventually ascended the throne. Consequently, a weakened leadership could not check corruption, and this ultimately led to the decline of the Mughal Empire. Since the ruler or the king was weak to stop the corruption and other matters, it led to the decline of the empire. That was one of the important cause for the decline of the Mughal Empire. The second cause, inefficient successors. Already we had discussed about this. Aurangzeb's successors were inefficient generals who were not interested in military expansion or modernization. If you observe, if you take the stories of Akbar or Jahangir or Shah Jahan or Aurangzeb, how much they had concentrated for the expansion, military expansion, or as well as modernization. What are the procedures they followed? What were the new rules they made to expansion? This kind of interest was not there in case of Aurangzeb's successors. They were inefficient generals who were not interested in military expansion or modernization. One word I could say, they were lazy for the expansion. They could not check the revolts of the nobles. Check means here stop. They could not stop the revolts of the nobles. None of them ruled for a considerable length of time to be able to consolidate their position. No efforts were made to establish a navy also. If you see, as I have told, page number 38, how long they had ruled, just you have a glance. After the Aurangzeb, Mughal rulers, after Aurangzeb, the Mughal rulers, how long they had ruled, just have a glance. You can understand by this, none of them had ruled for a considerable length of time, like either Akbar or Shah Jahan or Aurangzeb, like this, none of them had ruled for a lengthy time. Right? This is also one of the cause, inefficient successes. Third one, failure of the Mansabdari system. This system of ranking was introduced by Akbar, that is giving the ranks on the basis of meritorious service. Those who have merit or talent, based on that officials were given ranks. Under this non-hereditary system, imperial officials were given ranks on the basis of meritorious service. Contingents with nobles of mixed groups like Mughals, Pathans, Hindustani and Rajput, all people were, as we know that these Mughal courts were adorned with from all type of rulers. Though they were under the control of the Mughals, though they had been brought, for example, Rajputs or Hindustani or Pathans, though they had been brought under the Mughals rulers, they were given important positions as officials in the courts of Mughals. Okay, they were formed to weaken tribalism and parochialism. These, please know the definition of parochialism: favoring one's region or bias to one's state. So these contingents then became the backbone of Mughal military organization and civil administration. It was an efficient and meritocratic system without any parallel in the world. Very interesting fact. This system of Mansabdari system was very efficient, as well as there was no any parallel to this system in the world, which is based on meritocratic. But till then it was moving on in this way, very smooth way, right? But later, however, during the period of the later Mughals, this system became corrupt due to the inefficiency. The inability to maintain the required number of Mansabdars led to the breakdown of this system by the end of the 17th century. This also led to the decline of the Mughal Empire. Failure of the Mansabdari system. So there itself you can make as a question, what was Mansabdari system and who had introduced? Like that you can frame as a question. Next, Jagirdari crisis. Another cause, the Mughal officers were given Jagirs. Jagirs is nothing but lands. My dear students, please note down. Jagirs means lands in return for their services rendered. Of course, like gifts. Lands were given in the form of gifts for their services to the kingdom. But with the scramble for profitable Jagirs, there were very few Jagirs left by the end of the 17th century. So what had happened? By keep on giving the Jagirs in the form of gifts, those who serviced to the kingdom, those who made service to the kingdom, they almost the Jagirs, the lands, free lands got over by the end of the 17th century. Now officers had to be given Jagirs too. So therefore crown lands means the lands which belong to the kings or the emperor, converted to the Jagir lands. Now emperor or the king did not have any kind of land, because it also had been converted to give in the form of gifts to the officers. Now the emperor did not have any land to enjoy in the form of revenues, which had been, revenue is nothing but taxes. So if he had such amount of land under him, he could able to enjoy the revenue or tax which was collected. That one he used to spend for the various reasons. But now since he himself did not have any land under his control, then as a result revenue decreased, and so did the power of the emperor also started to decrease. Revenue decreased, and since he did not have money for the welfare things or any other purposes, his power also started to be decreased. This Jagirdari crisis. Next, empty treasury. Shah Jahan's zeal for construction had already depleted the treasury. As we know that Shah Jahan spent a lot of money for the construction purpose. Many buildings he had constructed. So you know, you have studied in previous class. For the construction he had already depleted the treasury, and moreover besides that, Aurangzeb's long wars in the Deccan further drained it. Drained means completely wiped it. Whatever little bit left over the treasury after Shah Jahan, because of the continuous wars, long wars of Aurangzeb, treasury became empty. Now, moreover, many regional states, princely rulers and zamindars stopped paying revenue to the empire. The continuous and ever increasing demands on the peasants became unbearable, and they rose in revolt. They started to revolt against the ruler, against the Mughals. Next, foreign invasions. Invasions of Nadir Shah and Ahmad Shah Abdali not only weakened the empire financially but also shocked its stability. How stable it was, their financial condition, they also shocked the invasions. As you all know that invasions is nothing but when they invaded, people looted a lot of wealth from our India and they spent it for their native purposes, for the welfare of their native places. So, in course, Nadir Shah, the ruler of Persia, attacked Punjab in 1739 and he marched towards Delhi. During that time, the rulers of Mughals. The Mughal army was easily defeated by Nadir Shah and he marched towards Delhi. Such was the fiercity of his attack that thousands of people were killed and Delhi looked deserted for days. See, such a sad thing that after the invasion of Nadir Shah from Persia, first he attacked Punjab and he marched towards Delhi. He was able to easily defeat the Delhi army and thousands of people were killed and Delhi looked like a desert for a few days. Not only that, it also lost its grandeur and glory. Nadir Shah took away the renowned Kohinoor diamond, which is said to be one of the biggest and most precious in the world, gifted to Humayun by the Raja of Gwalior. He also took away the beautiful peacock throne which was made by Shah Jahan. So like this, besides lot of wealth, he took away this precious Kohinoor diamond as well as peacock throne also. After the invasion of Nadir Shah, the Mughal empire shrunk in size rapidly. Shrunk. What is meant by shrunk? It started to shrink, small in size. It became as a small in size because, as we all know, that the regional rulers, nobles, as well as they started to revolt against the Mughals, and they started to become as more powerful. The Marathas, for example, here it is mentioned here the Marathas rose to power under the Peshwas. The whole of central India was under their control and their influence extended up to Delhi. Marathas influence. Marathas also had been brought under the control of the Delhi, under the control of Mughals, but now Marathas became as more powerful under the Peshwas. The Nawab of Awadh and Nawab of Bengal ruled like independent rulers. The Rohillas had established, these are all Bengal, Awadh and Marathas, Rohilkhand. All these actually once upon a time they were under the control of the Mughals. But now they started to become as independent rulers. The Rohillas had established the independent state of Rohilkhand. The Sikhs had also grown up very powerful in Punjab. In the south, Chin Khilji Khan had established the state of Hyderabad. The later Mughals like Ahmad Shah, second Alamgir and their successors did not have much power and controlled only a small area around Delhi. Next, challenges from regional powers. The various groups of zamindars, princely rulers and other nobles had slowly become powerful and gained recognition during the Mughal rule. The joint stock company of East of English traders had also become powerful. All of them now began to assert their independence. So, my dear students, please make a note with the help of the bullet forms which is provided in front of you on the screen. write the notes and complete it and submit to me by tomorrow 9 o'clock, and where you have to submit the notes I will let you know.